Hey, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Turnaround Marriage Live. And I'm here to talk with you today about the marriage problems are usually not what they seem. And I'll explain what I mean by that in just a moment. But first of all, if you're out there and you've tried to figure out where did things go wrong? We were once so in love. We took those vows and it meant everything. And we were so committed to each other and so in love. And things, how did they get to this point now? And you've been trying to figure it out. You've been trying to understand all the dynamics, where things went wrong. You've been reading the books. You've been going to all the Sunday school classes. You've been trying to do the retreats, everything you can think of to try to figure out what went wrong. Maybe you've even gone to counseling. Maybe you've even asked for help before, and things got very, very confusing. This is the place for you. So what I want to say to you as we dive in today, if you are, first of all, coming to us from Facebook, make sure you are part of our Facebook community just called Turnaround Marriage. If you search Turnaround Marriage, you're going to find us there. And you're also going to find our coaching page called Turnaround Marriage Transformational Coaching. Make sure you like that. Make sure you join our group. And also, if you're coming to us on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe and share the channel. It would mean the world to us. So guys, this is what happens. You might imagine we speak to a lot of people, and when people come to us, they come with all kinds of issues that are on the forefront of their minds. And they really feel like when they get on the call, they really have to help me to explain all the nuances, all the intricate parts and the ins and outs of how things went wrong with COVID when one of them had to come home, or some of the dynamics with the geopolitical changes in the world and seeing eye to eye about some of those things, or about, the shot or other things. And it could be about like ongoing extended issues with family, about around your parents or other siblings that have brought a lot of confusion. It could be kids. It could be specifically stepchildren if you've come together in a blended marriage. And it could even be sexual issues and sexual function issues and all kinds of things that could come to the surface. It could be, those couples oftentimes will talk about their finances and how they've not been able to get successful. They've not been able to navigate those challenges, that one's a spender, one's a saver, and they're trying to figure that out. A lot of times they actually will get on the calls with us and they'll want to describe all the ways that their spouse is wrong, because in their minds, they've been trying to do everything they know to fix it. They've been trying to level up, and it just seems like their spouse doesn't really want to. And so they feel like they need to really explain it. And in the worst case scenario, they actually kind of are showing up on that call, essentially, maybe not in their mind's eye, but in their heart of hearts, they're kind of hoping that we'll be kind of judge and jury for them. And we'll be able to like point out where their spouse was wrong and that they were more wrong than you were. That's just how human nature is. And that's oftentimes what happens. But here is my premise. It's very interesting. People get on our calls and they feel like they've got to explain everything. And they really don't. In fact, sometimes I will lovingly interrupt and say, thank you for that. Let me just take us down a different path here. Because they feel like they want to get clarity about these issues that have seemingly been so difficult for a long time, and that they have to really explain those out in order for there to be clarity, in order for them to navigate it. But here is the fact of the matter. My main premise is their problem is not those things that they're talking about. My main premise is they're not on the same team. That's the heart of it. And so it doesn't matter really that much if there are the symptoms of not being on the same team, of really not being partnered the way that God designed marriage to be. The symptoms can look like all kinds of things. It can look like all those things that I just described. It can look like financial issues. It can look like not getting on the same page about your kids. You can go on and on about what those things are. And if you just think about it for a moment, like if there are sexual issues, is the problem that there are sexual problems? Yes. That doesn't feel good. That's not good. It's like if you're sick and your throat is sore, like it's not fun. But the underlying problem isn't that you need a cough drop. The underlying problem is you guys need to be close and connected. That even if there is actual physical sexual dysfunction issues, you should be able to navigate that with intimacy that's been built up through teamwork, where you guys can get on the same page and find a way that will actually work to bring mutual pleasure. Maybe not exactly the way that you did when you first got married, but maybe in a different light. Or it could look like, we're fighting to get on the same page about finances. And really, if you're fighting about everything else, of course, you're not going to be able to see the same about the finances. And you might even say, and we'll talk about this in a moment, if you're not right together, you can't therefore be really close and connected with God the way that you are designed to be either. And so God, because he's a loving God, is not going to bless us oftentimes when we're being unfaithful in so many other areas. And really, that is the heart of it. If we're not on the same team, to some degree, there's a level of unfaithfulness that needs to be in check. So here is the secret, guys. People will get on the phone and they think they need to explain everything. And I don't need to know. I don't need to know the details of what's been going on. I need to know to some degree, and really help to get a lot of clarity for them, because usually what they're showing up with, they think it's the symptoms that are the problems. And usually there are underlying deep-seated beliefs and ways of looking at things that are keeping the two of you from finding that connectedness. So this is what needs to happen. There are some things that need to shift, because you have to understand that you have an inherently different viewpoint. If you are a husband and wife, you're as a woman, your husband is coming at this situation from a very different perspective. Of course he does. He's had different life experiences. He comes at it as a man and you're not. And he's gonna see things. Of course he will. Just if anytime you take two people and try to get on the same page, you're gonna find that sometimes you're button heads. Also, you are going to find that you are inherently different physiologically. This is despite what our culture says. God did wire us male and female, and we are different. Our bodies are different. Our minds are different. Even the chemistry in our bodies is different. Our DNA is different. And so because of that, we come at it from a different angle, and we're not going to solve it by trying to turn our wife into a man, or our husband into a wife. It's just not going to work. And so in addition to that, there's inherently different ways that a man hears and feels love. This is the same thing for a woman, that she inherently hears love very differently. A man needs to feel encouragement and blessing. He needs to feel like his wife is just there to support him and encourage him and really just remind him of who he is. And similarly, a wife wants those things too, but she really needs to hear that he is going to be there for her, that he's going to support her, that there is nothing that's going to come between us, that he's going to pursue her at all costs, that he's going to defend her and defend her honor, that he's going to be there for her. And even when she's unlovely, he will still be there. And guys, when you see that the other person is coming this way and you're coming this way, you can't come at it the same way that they are. Or I should say, expect them to come at it the same way that you are. Really, as you can find mutual understanding and really try to maximize and connect on those differences instead of making them the sticking points, this is where things could be really, really be very different for you. So I want to take it a step further. There is usually an underlying issue too. When a marriage is struggling, almost always their walk is struggling with God too. Why? Because God has united you as one flesh. And if you're not operating well spiritually as one flesh, then oftentimes it's very, very difficult to be walking with God when you know that the most important earthly relationship isn't lining up. So one of our amazing clients just shared with me, he said, Turnaround Marriage has helped me to regain trust in myself and God. My marriage was filled with disconnect, and we were separated when I started the program, and I was lost. And after using the teachings that I've learned, I am now more confident in myself and my God. And my boys actually enjoy going to church again. How amazing is that? It's so incredible when we start putting things with godly priorities, God first, spouse second, things begin to follow and flow the way that God has designed them to be. So I want you to be encouraged out there. When we start putting those godly priorities in place and start listening with empathetic ears and trying to understand the person from their unique perspective and try to connect with them and try to understand where they're coming from, this can make for a lot of difference. But what often happens, I'm here to tell you, we've seen it so many different times. It was true also of us at one point in our marriage. It's hard for the inside of the pickle jar to read the label. Like it's hard to see what are those dynamics when you're in the middle of it. And what is usually happening behind the scenes is that if there's been any level of hurt, then there are these beliefs and narratives that start to run in our hearts and minds, and they push God away, they push our spouse away, and they get us stuck in places of depression, discouragement, hopelessness, and those places become real. And it's like it becomes so hopeless because it's been that way for so long. But I'm here to tell you it doesn't have to be that way. If you're out there and you're feeling like, oh my goodness, it seems like we've tried so much and I've tried to figure out what was not working in our marriage, I want to encourage you. There is hope. And what we have for you, what I want you to do is to go to turnaroundmarriage.com/call. And I want you to pick a time where we're going to get on a call with you and we're going to get you some laser clarity about what are some of those dynamics that are beyond what you thought they were. And also to help you and your spouse, potentially, if both of you are on that call, to help you get clarity around a vision for where you guys want to go so that this marriage can be closer to the heart of God. And when you're aiming at that together, oh my goodness, everything can change way quicker than people expect. And we'll talk about what that could look like. And guys, if we're the best fit out there, we're absolutely going to talk about what that would look like to make an investment in you and in your marriage. And we'll talk about that strategy of what that could look like. If there's something better, and if we're not 100% confident we can help you, we're going to point you in the very best direction. And either way, you're going to get that clarity as a gift to you. So you can find that at turnaroundmarriage.com/call and look forward to seeing you there. And until next time,